Hey, Nicole, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Content Creators University. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Look, after we've been through all the technology, we made it. Right.
Yes, ma'am, we sure did, right? For the folks that do not understand, we jumped some hoops today in order to put this show live. And whenever this type of things happen, that's when you know something phenomenal is about to happen, right? I'm excited about this conversation. So, Nicole, for the folks that are listening or watching this and like, why is JP so excited about this guest? Well, take a minute, introduce yourself to the folks that do not know you, please.
So I always like to tell my story, if that's okay, because it gives great context to why I do what I do. So I started in this journey in 1993. So it was 28 years ago, even though I'm only 29. Get your life together. Anyway, so I started this journey in 1993 when I had the career I dreamed of ever since I was 7 years old. So I had the career in the entertainment industry, again, that I dreamed of. So back then, I worked
Mm-hmm.
for Viacom's largest cable network. We had an outreach to over 89 million homes on a weekly basis. And then from there, I worked in casting on the number one TV show on Fox. And then from there, I worked with the entertainment group, and what we produced generated over $12.6 billion a year. So I want you to know, I shared all that to tell you that I was living my dream, but I was playing pretty big. I was bumping elbows with all the people you've seen on TV and have looked at on films. So
Mm-hmm.
I was living the dream, but can I tell you, when I was by myself at night, my dream became my nightmare. And I'm saying that because I started feeling like something was missing, and I couldn't understand, how could I feel like something is missing when I loved my job? And every time I tried to talk to one of my friends about it, they would say, "Are you crazy? Didn't you go to this red carpet? And weren't you at this premiere?" And so that's really where I call it my purpose pivot began.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Little did I know that what was happening, my purpose was calling. And so in the middle of me feeling dazed and confused because I didn't know what to do, I had never felt like this. I was 23 years old. Don't y'all try to do the calculation to figure out how old I am right now. 23 years old. I had never felt anything and so anything like it. And so in the middle of me feeling like that, one of my friends invited me to volunteer at a program at our church on a Friday night. And as I started working with young people in my church that night, as their eyes lit up, my heart lit up. And I said, "Oh my God, this is the thing that I've been looking for." But I didn't know what to call this thing. Again, this was 1993. I had never heard of a coach. But for
Mm-hmm.
the first time in my life, my soul was alive. And so I had a decision to make. And I share that
Right.
story because what I realize now on this side of the journey is our purpose matriculates. So just like we matriculate through the education system, we started kindergarten, some of us started preschool, right? We go through
Mm-hmm.
elementary and then junior high and high school, and some of us going to college or grad school and on and on and on. Well, our purpose matriculates the same way. The only difference is we don't know the matriculation. We don't know the end from the beginning because God requires us to have faith. And so what was happening for me in that moment, JP, is my purpose was matriculating. And so in that moment, I felt like I was at a crossroad. I could either go after public perception and opinion and what everyone else said I should do or be, or I could go
Mm-hmm.
after this thing that was rumbling in my soul. And so I went after that thing. And so 28 years later, that's what I do is really my calling, I realize, in this thing called life is God had to stir it up in me first. I had to figure out how the heck to do it. And now he's
Right.
skilled professionals how to build, really start and grow your purpose focused business and create multiple streams of revenue as you do it.
Wow, that's fantastic, and I love your story, right? Because your story is synonymous. A lot of people can find themselves in your journey as they're listening to how you were at a place at that crossroad, not knowing exactly where to turn, then having that click in your head and realizing that I got something here, but how do I call it? How do I develop it? What is it exactly? How do I present it? And how do I start living off of what God deposited in me? Which is what we're about to talk about today. So I'm very, very excited about that. Now, before we dive into all those jams, we like doing something here in the Content Creators University is allowing us to learn a little more about you in a unique way. So I got a couple of questions here that I want to ask you that's going to allow us to know some things about Nicole Roberts Jones, right? So first thing, let me ask you, are you a night owl or a morning bird? early morning bird?
That depends. So, if I'm writing and creating, I'm an early bird. See, I can't even talk. See, so that's kind of. But I've been talking all day, y'all. If I'm hanging out with my girlfriends, I'm a night owl. However, I have to already be hanging out by 9 p.m. or else I'm no good. So, for all intents and purposes, I would say I'm more of an early bird. You know, what's interesting is the earlier I can wake up, the more I can feel God pouring it in.
Hmm.
When I first started my business, I would get up at 3 and 2 in the morning. Now I'm too old for that. So 5 was about what time I get up. But the earlier I get up, the more I can feel God just pouring in, and I just, I'm just the conduit, really.
Right.
If I had to choose, I would say early bird.
Yeah. Okay, but it depends on the season, and it
It depends
depends
on
on
what I'm doing.
on
If I'm
what you're
turning
working
up,
on.
if I'm turning up, then I could be a night owl. But I gotta already be started in the turn up, y'all. And what I mean by that, because I'm a God's girl, so I don't turn up too much. But if I'm going out with my girlfriends, I have to already be started
Hmm.
at 9 p.m. If you call me at midnight, baby, I'm asleep already. Forget it. You can forget about that. But if you start me at 9 and if I'm active, then I can stay out late. But if you start me at 11, yeah, I'm not going. I'm asleep. I got my PJ.
Well, I understand that. My wife can find herself in what you're saying. Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this. Are you more of a movie and popcorn type of girl, or are you more of a reader during the weekend?
So hard because I'm both. My undergraduate degree is TV and film. You heard me tell my story. So I TiVo so much stuff. My husband laughs at me. So I would say one day out of Saturday and Sunday, one day I'm watching TV. I could Netflix and chill the entire day. But the next day I've got to read because I'm also an avid reader. So I think I'm equal parts of both.
Equal parts. Okay. Okay. Well, that's fair. Depending on all the stuff, based on all the stuff you do, that makes total sense. Now, the last question in this series will be, okay, have you ever used a VR headset?
No, I don't even know what that is. So that's a no.
Okay. And the reason I ask is because we like asking, what do you think about working out in the metaverse or doing a physical workout the traditional way? But now we know here at the Content Creation University, we need to invite Nicole into.
I'm trying to work out at all. Look, I hate working out. I do it because I have to, not because I want to. But yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Got you. Now, we prepared something special to debut this, month of Black successful creators. And as a producer myself, I thought, what better way to help, in visuals, connect our history to us today.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a little video about all the amazing folks that are listed and put on the spotlight. And let's go ahead and take a look at it. Then we're going to dive into our conversation. We'll be right back.
I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. This nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Wow, this is something that we put together, my team, today. And I wanted us to be able to visually, since this is a content creators university, we have a motto here is create, impact, and innovate. Something impactful, innovative, and create that to tell the story of amazing folks like you, Nicole, that are impacting lives and transforming people and remembering that all this came out of a dream, right? In order for us to keep walking. Let
But
me
before
ask
you,
you.
let me
Yeah, go
let
ahead.
me say something just that what's interesting when you think about Dr. King. What many people don't realize is he was 24 years old when he really took the helm of the civil rights movement. Where were y'all at 24? Right? So I'm saying that because he did not know when he went to the Selma, Alabama meeting. Now I might not say all
Mm-hmm.
the facts. I roll with roll with where I'm going. He didn't know he was going to be elected the president of the organization that would spearhead the civil rights movement. He was going as a volunteer, like, yeah, I'll go. He had just gotten married. He had just gotten, his first church, went to Selma to help, and he got
Mm-hmm.
elected president of the movement. So I want you to get number one, what did he have to say yes to in the face of fear? What did he have to continue to have courage when they were threatening and bombing his house and threatening his family, his wife, his children? What did Dr. King have to continue to do to say yes in the face of fear? And the second thing is, he had to be unselfish, non-selfish, whichever word is
Mm-hmm.
right that exists. It wasn't about him. He had to look past his own fear, his own thoughts, his own perception, his own everything to stand in the gap for his people, which is, I believe, we each have that same opportunity when we stand in our own purpose. So thank you for that. That's big.
Wow. 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 Woo. Nicole, man, you're preaching tonight, like some folks will say, right? You're preaching tonight. It's so true what you're saying. And our history play a vital role in our
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
Where we come from, our struggles, and all of that is what's going to build us to become the unique us one day. So
Yeah.
I'm all about embracing it. And one thing that you posted on your LinkedIn, Nicole, that I loved, and I shared it when I was sharing this on the social media about our meeting today, is that every day that you do not operate in your purpose, I was like, yes. Why is it, Nicole, that purpose plays such a vital role in your professional opinion in the success in the things we're trying to achieve?
So what I've learned in my own journey, and now the space of other people, is that when you were born to this world, God put DNA in you. I call that distinct natural ability. He planted a seed. The thing that's interesting about DNA even is when I got this revelation about DNA and God placing this DNA in each of us, I researched DNA. We each have 2.4 billion molecules, cells that make up our DNA. But no, two of us have the same molecular makeup. So deep, y'all. So God was really intentional with who you be. So you have a natural propensity for some things. You're naturally good at some things. You naturally love some things. That's no coincidence. So you came here on purpose with purpose. The fact that Dr. King was great at being an orator and being able to lead a movement, yeah, God knew how he was going to use Dr. King the same way God knows each of us and how he will use us. Now, all of us are meant to lead a movement, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
not all
Mm-hmm.
Dr. King. So just because I'm saying God wants to use you doesn't mean it has to be like that. But every day, when you're not standing in the power of the gift, you're late for work. You're late for the assignment that God put you on this earth to do or be. That's what I'm passionate about, that you get clear on it, that you stand in it fully, and that you go after it because there are a group of people that are waiting for you.
Whew, that's powerful. That is powerful. Thank you for that. Yes. Unless you operate in that zone, unless you operate in that gift, in your purpose, the people that are waiting for you will never get the blessing that they've been praying for because you are the solution to somebody else's prayer. That's powerful.
Exactly.
I'm loving what you're saying. Now, there are plenty of people that will tell you, Nicole, that, okay, I understand all that, right? But I don't know what my purpose is. Like, I don't understand even how to approach it in order to find what my quote unquote God-given purpose on earth is. So how do I approach it? What am I supposed to do? How do I know this is what I was created to do?
Yep. So get a pen because we're getting ready to go all the way in. So, what's
All right.
interesting is every day when we wake up on autopilot, meaning that I can't wake up tomorrow and say, I think I want to be JP today. Yeah, that won't work. No matter how hard I try, no matter if I shave all my hair off.
Mm,
Okay. So because there are things, that was probably a bad example, but y'all roll with me, right? So there are things that are intrinsic to your DNA that you do that you don't realize that you do.
mm-hmm.
So a few years ago, I came up with something called a brilliance framework. Now I call it brilliance instead of purpose because when you stand in the full power of your brilliance, Matthew 5:16, I'm a God's girl, if y'all don't know that. Matthew 5:16 says, let your light so shine among men and women that they may
Mm-hmm.
see your good work and and celebrate or honor your God in heaven. So when your light is shining, that's that purpose. So and I believe when you stand up for power of it, you're on full, you're lit all the way up, right? As Remy Ma and Fat Joe would say, all the way up, right? So with that, there are 4 steps to your brilliance framework. These 4 steps will help you get clear on your assignment because each of us are assigned, right? You're Jasmine or
Mm-hmm.
James, right? So step 1 is what are you passionate about? Like, what do you love to do? What could you do hour upon hour and never get paid for it? So, in my last book, there's a picture of me at 3 years old. I should have thought about it and given it to you, JP, so we can put it on the screen. I am
Right.
3. Now, most 3-year-old little girls have a baby carriage. What do they have in that baby carriage? A baby. First
Mm-hmm.
of all, in the picture, I'm talking. My husband did a roast of me a few years ago for one of my birthdays, and he and my mom did it on without me knowing. He said, "How come in every picture you're talking?" I said, "Do you need to ask me that?" Because hello, what I do for a living, I talk. Right? I used to get in trouble when I was little for talking too much. Hello, right? Now it's a
Mm-hmm.
blessing. Right. So that's number 1. Number 2, and that baby carriage, I didn't have a baby. I had books and papers because I've always been a natural producer. So listen, I worked in entertainment. What I didn't realize then is when God pulled me out to do this thing, and I didn't know what to call it. Now I realize it's coaching, is really what I do with my clients is I produce you. So I'm casting you, I'm putting you in the right role that fits with your gift, and I'm producing all the programs that are in alignment with your assignment. So I'm doing the same thing I did in entertainment, but it's a different platform. Okay. So I had to realize number 1, what am I passionate about? I love it. I could do it hour upon hour and never get paid for it. The second is what are you proficient in? Like, what are you good at?
Mm-hmm.
You can't love it and not be good at it, and you can't be good at it and hate it. So
Right.
Michelle Obama talked about this in her book Becoming, that she was really great at being a lawyer. She had matriculated all the way through her field, and then she realized, I don't like this. I don't want to do this no more. Right? So those 2 have to correlate for it to be a purpose. Now, was Michelle Obama being a lawyer a waste? No. Do you think she would have been a phenomenal first lady without it? No. That legal
Mm-mm.
expertise came in handy in the White House. I'm just saying.
Sure
So
did.
she did that. So that's why I say your purpose matriculates. So God knows what he knows the end from the beginning. So real quick, so passion proficiency. Then number 3, it solves a problem. It's not about you. It's an answer to a problem. And then when it's an answer, people will pay for it. That's profit. So those are the 4 steps of the Brilliance Framework. And you've got to be clear. The number of people, JP, that I meet that start businesses that do not have clarity of their passion and proficiency, which is your purpose, those 2 together, that don't have that clarity, that start businesses that fail because they don't take the time to get clear. It's amazing to me.
Wow. That is so true because it's not because you like something that automatically translates to you being made to do that or you being proficient at doing that. No, because you might like doing something, and once you start doing that, then you realize that you don't like it.
Wait, can I give
There's
you an
some.
example?
Yep. Go
Wait,
ahead.
so I had that moment when I felt that disconnect. I told you guys a story earlier when I was like, okay, I knew I was meant to do something else, but I didn't know what. And I had that moment in church, but I didn't know what to call it. So I started exploring other things. So I love to shop to this day. So I went back to fashion school thinking maybe I'm meant to be a stylist. Can I see how much I have? I realized I love to shop for me. I don't care about the red count. I don't care about color on other people's skin tones. I'm keeping it real, y'all. Not being selfish. That's just, I don't care about any of that. I didn't like it. Now I still like to shop for me. But if I'm not
Hmm.
going to be a solution to a problem for somebody else, I can't build a business around it. So important. So I was good at it for me. I wasn't good at it for anybody else. And so I ended up not liking it.
Oh, that's a great example, right? Yeah, that's a great example. There's so many things that I like doing, but when it comes down to doing it for people, and somebody might be like, okay, what do you mean doing it for people? Well, the thing is, whenever you're putting yourself in a servant position. When you
Yeah.
become the servant, when you become the person that has to serve others, it changes the profile of the job itself that you're trying to do, because that changes now is now no more about you. Now it's about the people. And one thing that I love is that in everything that you do, and whenever I'm reading your articles, or whether it's your books or whatever, one thing that is clear is that you know clearly that you are made to help others. So that part of helping becomes your lifelong journey in
But even can
order to be successful. Go ahead.
it's even deeper than just helping others. I'm saying this because helping others is vague. And I'm not getting on you, but I'm
Hmm.
listening. I want people that are hear me, because when you say things that are vague and you start a business based on helping others, nobody pays for it because they don't hear the transformation you provide. My help is creating multiple streams of income from what you know. I'm really clear. That's not what you want. I'm not your girl, right? And so you got to understand what specifically is the lane that God created you to dwell in. Listen, there is an Olympic sprinter, and I love to use this as an example. Her name is Gwen Torrance. In 1995, she was known at the time as the fastest woman alive. She ran a meet in 1995. She won it. This is a long story short, real quick, right? So, you guys, if you've ever watched an Olympic track meet, you know they run around, they're waving. First of all, they catch their breath. Then they do a lap, a victory lap. Well, while she's doing all of that, the judges are watching the film. They watch the playback, and what they see is a discrepancy. She won running in somebody else's lane, which in track and field means you get disqualified.
Right,
Well,
right.
and the same thing happens in life when you run running in somebody else's lane. So when you don't get clear on what your lane is, when you look at JP, go, "Ooh, well, I can do that." There's a difference between can and should. So you've got to get clear on the lane that is your own and stop trying to run in other people's lanes, because I
Hmm.
guess you qualify from your purpose.
That's good. That's good. So, what are you passionate about? That's a recap, right? What are you passionate about? What are you proficient in? Is what you're trying to do solving the problem? People will pay for their issues and problems to be solved, right? Do you have a clear definition? Do you understand clearly what your expertise is? Right. Those are, I'm taking note as you're speaking, Nicole. I'm taking note. I'm learning so that we can grow. Now, that is going to help me identify, okay, this is my purpose. Now, one thing is to identify your purpose, and then another thing is to walk in your purpose, right? So now that we've identified the purpose, now we want to start a walk within that purpose. What does
Mhm.
that look like for a person walking in their purpose, Nicole?
Such a great question. So there's two lanes you can go down. Now I'm clear, everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur, but those of you that work a 9 to 5 understand there's purpose for you to listen. If there was no iPhone, baby, honey, I'd be a whole stuck hot mess. So all the people that work at Apple are working in their purpose. I'm just saying, right? So you've got to understand that your gift. So even a big conglomerate like Nike, like Apple, like American Express, like where whatever you can think of, that company was created as an answer to a problem. Okay,
Mhm.
that's the third step. Okay, so every person that plays a role is creating something that is an answer. Okay, so whether you work in a larger company or you begin a business, you are an answer to a problem. So what you've got to do, so the thing that's deep here is God is a God of systems. You don't believe me? Go read Genesis. You don't believe me? Go drink a cup of water and realize that you have a whole digestive system and wonder where the water goes, or the soda, or whatever you might drink or eat. You know, look at the sky and realize there's a whole solar system. So I can go on and on, but God is a God of systems. The thing that's really deep, y'all, is each of us are a part of a system. So when I stand in the full power of my gift and I help the people that I am meant to coach and teach and help them begin their businesses or grow their purpose focused businesses, what happens is when I say yes to my gift and I coach my clients, they then go out in the world, whether they're an accountant, a lawyer, or a doctor, or whatever they do, a real estate agent, whatever they do,
Hmm.
with
Hmm.
their clients, I'm a part of that system. Just like a corporation is a part of a system.
Hmm.
So you've got to create a methodology in order to be systemic. Okay, so hopefully y'all are keeping with me. So the way that a system works optimally is that it's a system. So what I mean by that is you can't do whatever, whenever, however. I see so many entrepreneurs do this too, or so many people that are starting a business. They don't stop long enough to create strategy. So the difference is getting clear on who you are and how you serve people, and then creating what I call a blueprint from it. So giving you a concrete example, and I love to give an example. So what I'm sharing is tangible. Is I just redid a couple years ago the house I grew up in. And let me tell you the truth. I went on Pinterest and put up all the pictures I wanted. I want these cabinets. I want this. I want this tile. I want these marble cabinet tops. I want this flooring. And my contractor, that's great. But all that, we need to do a blueprint first. Because listen, if
Mm-hmm.
you don't do a blueprint, and my house is in LA, earthquake will come. And if it doesn't go together, your whole house will fall. Well, what happens is I see so many people build businesses, they don't stop long enough to create a blueprint from their genius, from their brilliance, that then dictates every way they should live and move and have their being around their purpose in their business. And so what happens is over time, things fall apart. Well, it's because you didn't create a blueprint from the beginning. So the answer to your question is the only way you will sustain, even a huge conglomerate has a strategic plan. That strategic plan should be based on their blueprints. They should be not be doing anything else that's outside of the blueprint that determines how they should be building their business. So you've got to start with that blueprint. Without it, your business will fail.
Whew, that translate clearly, family. What Nicole's saying, translate in our languages, like we always say, right? You need to have a strategy of success established in place, right? First of all, identifying what you're about to do is not enough. You identify what you're about to do. Now, where, right? The location of where you're going to implement this matters, right? The time within your implementation
And look
matters.
at what he's
And
getting way up here. So before you even get up there, listen, y'all, because he's going deep. But before you even do that, you've got to understand who is your ideal client. You're not everybody's
mm-hmm,
answer, but somebody's
mm-hmm.
answer. Number one. Number two, what are you the answer to? Listen, you have to be able to articulate a predictable result. Inspiration, motivation, encouragement is free at church on Sunday. Ain't nobody paying you for that.
That doesn't pay the bills.
Right. What's the result you move people forward into? How do you move their life or their business forward? And it's not motivation, inspiration. Or listen, I hear so many people say, I want to be a speaker, which is great. Speaker is the vehicle. That's not
Mm-hmm,
the predictable results.
mm-hmm,
So you got to
mm-hmm.
be clear on those things before. Listen, I was on a Clubhouse maybe about 6 months ago, and a woman said, I built this program and this online program, and I saw all these people doing it, and they were making money. And how come mine didn't make money? So there's a difference between serving and selling. I'm saying it one more time. There's a difference between serving and selling. And JP said this earlier too. When you're a servant, you're not doing it for the money. Of course, you want to make money. Money's going to come, but you're doing it because you see that you're an answer to a need. When you do things because you're just trying to make money, it's not going to work. Look, are you trying to get paid or are you trying to do purpose? Big difference. Okay. So you've got to be clear on how your purpose moves someone's life into a result. And what do I mean by results? So real quick, because I mean, this is the vague, the vagueness is
Take
what
note,
makes
family. Take note. Uh-huh.
being vague is what makes businesses fail. So if I go buy a ticket, I'm saying I'm going to see JP, I'm going to Tennessee, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I buy a ticket, I'm not asking them how many seats are on the plane. I'm not saying does the pilot, how long has he or she had his license. I'm not even asking if it's a male or a female pilot. I'm like, what time do I get there? That's the result I want. I'm not asking all the other stuff. How many seats are on the plane? None of that. I just want to know what time am I getting there so I can tell JP to pick me up from the airport. That's it. That's the results. All the other stuff. And so what happens is we do stuff like, I'm going to fly. That's that when you say I'm going to encourage people. I'm going to encourage you to fly. Okay, but I'm going to come and see you, but I haven't told you what time I'm going to get there. So many people say all this vague rah-rah stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then when their businesses don't work, it's because they're not speaking to a predictable results and they don't have strategy.
Yep. Yep. And we already know, folks, that when we're talking about strategy, it means you have to dive in. You have to be specific. Like specifically, okay, yeah, you want to build your new website. What type? Oh, you want to become a photographer? What type of photographer, right? Are you going to be a wedding photographer? Are you going to be birthdays? Are you going to be doing branding? There's so much. Specifically, what are you going to do? As we, like Nicole's saying, as we identify specifically what we're trying to do now, what's going to take us to do that specific thing? Because we can think, oh, I want to become a speaker. And we'll realize, oh, what type of speaker we want to become, right? What type of trips and what type of events we want to be associating ourselves with. And then we realize, oh, maybe I don't want to do this after all, because we see everything that is in there. And that happens a lot of times, Nicole, because as you're saying, there's so many businesses that are failing because they just decided, oh, I'm going to start selling electronics. Okay, now you try to sell electronics. You don't realize that that's too vague.
Right.
Right. What's your expertise? When you're selling that? Like,
even if I use Lanita for an example, and Lanita, I love you. I hope you don't mind me. And because I know you're going to be on the show. So when I met Lanita, she was already powerful in her own right, was commanding stages, speaking all over the country, and powerhouse already. The problem with her is that she was a powerhouse already. So people were calling her. So what happens is when you don't know who your ideal client is, you're talking to everybody and nobody hears what they need from you because you're talking to everybody. So when we started to work together and we got clear on who her ideal client is, she's clear. She's a student success coach. And her ideal client really are the parents to the student, and really being able to speak the parents' language about their child and helping them get clear on their success from after high school. Which now listen, when Lanita told me a couple of days ago, now I worked with her for about a couple of years ago, that she started to she reached her first 6-figure year. It wasn't because I changed anything about her. What we do is we got clear on the lane. Before, she was speaking down 4 lanes. So going to speaking events, good for you. It looks good on your on Facebook. It looks good on your resume. But if it's not the right event, you're not talking to the right people and speaking to the predictable result you create, those people that see you at events won't translate into clients, which ultimately, listen, I always say it's irresponsible if you think a 45-minute keynote is going to help move somebody's life or business forward. It's not enough.
No, it's not.
You need to be able to welcome them into some other way you work with them. And if you're not talking to your ideal client, you won't have any way to work with them. So again, you're being irresponsible.
And also one thing that is important there as well is that whenever you're not perfectly clear on your target audience and who you're going after, the people that are looking for you will be confused as well.
Yes. And a confused mind does not buy. Period.
Exactly. Because they'll be wondering exactly who is this person actually going after? And they might even come across your profile, your website, and think you're not speaking to them, even though you actually wanted them to notice you.
Because you're not being specific. And you know how many people say, well, I'm leaving people out. And then they feel bad. But here's the thing. For years, I didn't serve men. I do now, right? And so a lot of my stuff was pink, even though pink is still my favorite color, so don't judge. I still pink behind me, right? But when I hired JP, I had to redo my website because I had to take all my pink off. I had to take all the women-focused stuff off because God was calling me to do something different. But I'm saying that because my language was specific to women, and men still reached out to me and said, "Can you work? Can you work with me?" See, what happens is the more laser focused you are, that means your language is specific. Even if I use my trainer for an example. So I found my trainer on Instagram. On Instagram, now I told you guys a few minutes ago, well, that was a different podcast. I'm not a mom. I didn't say this here. That was a different podcast. Or maybe I did. Anyway, I'm not a mom. Okay. So my trainer said I help busy moms and whatever she said, but something she said was different and it was her Instagram profile. Now I'm not a mom. I'm busy, but I'm not a mom. And one conversation with her, I've been working with her for a year. And I'm sharing that with you because she was specific. I might have been outside of the trajectory of what could be her ideal client, but I still heard what she said because she was so specific. And it sounded like, I think she might be able to help me. And the more laser specific you are, the more people will hear you. But when you try to talk to everybody and be vague, no one's going to hear what they need from you.
Ooh, that's deep. That's deep, Nicole. Now, I want us to take an ad break. And when we come back, I want us to talk about, okay, now that we've identified exactly our purpose, and now we understand how to walk within our purpose. Now, how do we deal with the challenges? Because we already know it's not because we're walking in our purpose, then all things are just going to be roses. Things are going to be good and flourishing. How do we deal with those challenges, and how can you help us to keep things going, because we have to stay the course? So stay with me. Don't go anywhere. Let's go ahead and take a quick ad break, and we'll be right back. Thank you. All right, family, welcome back. This is the Content Creators University. If you're just joining us, I'm your humble servant, JP, and we've been speaking with Nicole. And Nicole has been teaching us today on how to find and walk in your purpose, right? What's the importance of identifying your purpose on earth? Why is that so vital, right? And after we've done that, we need to understand certain things. And she's been giving us some tips. And if you've been taking note, we know that we need to understand what we're passionate about in order to be able to identify our purpose, right? What are we passionate about? What are we proficient at? And is that solving the problem, right? Because understanding that people will pay for their issues to be solved, but also going deeper, knowing that we need to set up a strategy in place, right? How strategic are you? How specific and clear are you, right? Those things matter. Now we're about to take it a little further in regards to now challenges whenever we're walking our purpose. But let me go ahead and bring her back onto the stage. Nicole, thank you so much. Everything you're saying is so spot on and such a blessing, because people pay you a lot of money for this, and we're receiving these gems for free today. Blessings to you for that. So now that we've learned all this, there's some folks that will tell you, okay, I've gone through this motion, but I am struggling. How can you help somebody that is probably not at the right place mentally, and maybe feeling like they want to give up because knowing that life is hard? How do you keep going when you're walking in your purpose?
Sure. So a couple of things. So many ways I can answer this. So number one, John 10:10 says, the enemy comes to steal, to kill, and to
And to
destroy.
destroy. Mm-hmm.
You've got to understand that. And the other part, Jesus says, I've come that you have life and have it more abundantly.
Abundantly.
So
Mm-hmm.
understand the enemy is always going to come and try to keep you from your purpose, because guess how many people, think about how many people you bless when you stand in the full power of your gift. Oh, the enemy doesn't want that. So any way he can stop you from it, he's going to try. So a couple of things, you've got to get in a community that can support you, whether that's a coach. And I believe everybody should have a coach, right? Look, I have a coach right now. Everybody should have a coach. Number one. Number two, you need to have some kind of community that can encourage you and support you. So you're having a hard day, you have someone to talk to. What's interesting is everybody's not in the purpose focused journey. So you can have phenomenal, like I have phenomenal girlfriends. My husband is phenomenal, but my husband's not an entrepreneur. So there are things that I go through my business that my husband will support me. He's so funny. He just texted me just as I said his name. That is funny. So there are things that he'll do, and he'll support me phenomenally. But there's things he just doesn't get because he's not an entrepreneur. He's a corporate guy. He's a vice president of sales. He's at a sales conference right now. So with that, you got to get around a community that can support you, that can keep you undergirded, because this journey isn't easy. Listen, as you were saying that, it made me think of David. Now, we all heard of David and Goliath, right? Real quick, I want y'all to get this. This is a story I've been studying lately. So David, so how even before Goliath came, I'm gonna say this story quick. I promise y'all, and go read it. It's in. I'll tell JP later because I can't remember right now because I know I was gonna share it. I think it's in Second Kings, but let me just share the story. So listen. So David is the youngest of 8 brothers. He has 7 brothers. Okay. And Samuel, God tells Samuel that there's another king because Saul, God is like, he's not the one. So he sends Samuel to go look for the one. He says, go to Jesse's house. So Jesse has 8 boys. Jesse brings all his sons in, but David. So after Samuel says, okay, it's not him, not him, not him. He goes to all 7 brothers. He says, you have another son. So Jesse had to bring David out from the field. David was a shepherd watching the sheep. Now, being a shepherd is a dirty job. It's, just imagine being outside, you stank. You've been outside all day long, right? You got lions coming at the sheep. You got bears coming at the sheep, and you're fighting all that off. David
Mm-hmm.
comes in, and Samuel says, it's him, right? And so literally, he anoints David as king, and David has to go back into the field to be a shepherd. Can you go back and do what God has told you to do after you've been anointed king? Now, that's a whole lot of ego letting go. That's a whole lot of servanthood you got to do. But the thing about it is, God was using David's shepherding to develop him as king. Because as a shepherd, it ain't about you. Even when he went and fought Goliath, listen, in the face of fear, the army wouldn't fight him, the Navy wouldn't fight him, the Marines wouldn't fight him. This is modern day, right? But David said, at 12, I'll fight him. And mind you, it says in the Bible, he said, listen, I fought off lions, I fought off bears, I can fight this king with God's help. So he still trusted God. But he went and fought Goliath because he was more committed to his community, to his family, to his tribe, than he was his own fear. Not about David again. But then after that, they honored him and then he went back into the shepherd field. It was years before he became king. I'm sharing that because many people, God drops something in your spirit that you're supposed to do this thing. You get this vision and you think, oh, overnight. God is not a microwave kind of God. God's not going to do it in your time. And so you go through see nothing days. This is where I talk about, when you plant a seed, you got to water it and water it and water it. That's see nothing days. And so in those see nothing days, when the enemy tries to tell you, you're never going to get there and who you think you are and that God didn't give you that vision and you're not smart enough and you can't quit your job and all the stuff the enemy is going to tell you that you can't do, you've got to have that supportive community around you so you don't quit, because it's the watering of the seed when you can't see it. That development stage that David was out in the field that made him ready to be king. The same way God is using everything you're going through to make you ready for the throne that will be yours.
Amen. Hey, we're in church now, folks. You got to know this is an amazing story that speaks volume regardless of your faith. It's a true story, and it impacts every single time. If you want to read more of how David got anointed to become king and all that, go to 1 Samuel chapter 16 and read more about that. It is a phenomenal story. Thank you so much for sharing that. We've gone to the end of our show. I can't believe it. So good. I don't even want it to end, but we have to end and respect your time. We appreciate that. Before we let you go, we always want to ask for the folks that want to connect with you and continue the conversation. Where are the places and spaces that you spend your time that they can easily connect with you and work with you?
So first, I want to give a gift. So those of you that are trying to figure out where you are in your purpose journey, take my Brilliance Roadmap quiz. It's brillianceroadmapquiz.com. You answer a couple questions. It'll tell you what are the 3 stages you're in, and then it gives you more to help you move it forward. So that's one. Again, that's Brilliance Roadmap Quiz, all free, by the way, .com. And then, my new favorite thing is Instagram. I just love Instagram. So I'm always posting tools, tips, insight. So I am in Roberts Jones on Instagram because my name is too long. And then, listen, JP built me this phenomenal website. So you can learn all things Nicole Roberts Jones at NicoleRobertsJones.com. There it is, NicoleRobertsJones.com.
Fantastic website. I'm biased, of course, because we built it. Thank you so much, Nicole. We appreciate you. Now, please go ahead and wait backstage as I go ahead and close with the team here. I'll be right with you. All right, family, you guys know This was an amazing show, and I am so grateful for all the gems and the wisdom and everything Nicole dropped on us today. This was a phenomenal time. I've learned a lot, and let's go back and understand that every single day that we do not operate in our purpose is a day where somebody's prayer may not be answered. And we were all created on purpose for a purpose. And I hope that you learn something today and that you start, in case you're not, you start identifying your purpose and start walking in it. I'll see you again next week. And you know, next week, Tuesday, we'll be here with LaShawn Davis. And we're talking about what it takes to go out in faith. Be safe, family, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. This nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.